The siren wailed through Blackstone State Prison as cameras went dark one by one. Officer Daniel Price ran down C Block, shouting for doors to lock, but the metal gates didn't move. In the center hallway, a single cell stood open like a mouth. The inmate assigned there, Noah Reed, was gone. Not a footprint, not a sound. Just a cold draft and a folded prison shirt on the pillow. On the wall, 3 fresh fingerprints showed up under a guard's flashlight, smeared like someone had gripped the concrete and then vanished. The power snapped back on. Every door clanged shut at once. Noah was nowhere. A whisper seemed to roll across the tier from cell to cell. He walked right through. Officer Price reached for his radio and heard Noah's voice come from it, low and close, like he was standing right beside him. "I'm still here." Then the radio cut to static. Hours earlier, Blackstone looked like any other tough place in America. Gray walls, tall fences, razor wire bright under the sun, the sound of boots, clanging trays, and 100 voices trying to be louder than fear. Noah Reed had been there for 3 years. He was 32, quiet and watchful. He kept to himself, read old paperbacks, and took notes in a small, worn notebook that he hid inside his mattress. He had a short scar on his chin and a calm way of making eye contact that made people uncomfortable. Some inmates called him Preacher because he spoke softly and never cursed. Others called him Ghost because he always seemed to be exactly where you didn't expect him to be. That morning began with a simple routine. Breakfast, yard check, cell inspection. Officer Price, who took his job seriously but treated people fair, paused at Noah's door. Reed, hands where I can see them. Noah stood, hands open. His bed was tight and neat. His books lined up. Price noticed something odd. The air inside the cell felt cooler than the hall. It was summer. No air conditioning. Still, a cool breeze touched his face. He wrote it off as a cracked window somewhere down the tier. Across the block, 2 inmates, Marcus Hale and Jamal Carter, argued over a chess game made from milk caps. Marcus was older, heavy, and quick to laugh until he wasn't. Jamal was young, wiry, and hungry for respect. They both watched Noah when they thought no one else was looking, not because he was dangerous, but because trouble seemed to bend around him like a river around a rock. At noon, the prison chaplain, Pastor Elena Brooks, walked the road with her small Bible and warm smile. She always stopped at Noah's cell. "You doing okay today?" she asked. Noah nodded. "Pastor," he said, "do you believe a place can remember what people do inside it?" She raised an eyebrow. "Buildings don't have memories," she said. "People do." Noah smiled a little. "Maybe." Lunch passed without a fight, which was rare. By afternoon, the heat turned the halls into ovens. Even the concrete smelled like dust and sweat. Officer Price felt a pressure in his ears, like the feeling you get before a storm. A rookie guard, Tyler Mason, joked that Blackstone needed a giant fan. The joke landed flat. No one laughed. Outside at 8:55 p.m., the night shift took over. Officer Price checked the panel. "This will be quick," he told Tyler. "Stay sharp." Pastor Brooks finished her last round and stepped into the staff hall. Rain tapped a small window, soft but steady. Somewhere deep, a generator coughed. 9 p.m. The first click. Hallway lights flickered. A camera cycled, then another. Doors hummed as power shifted. The routine felt normal until it didn't. From the ceiling, dust drifted like slow snow. Tyler frowned at his screen. "Sir, the system says all doors are green, but I see one open on the live feed." Price leaned over. "Cell C 314, Noah Reed." The door stood 3 inches open. No one moved. No one had a key out. No motor whined. The hinge had not even squeaked. "That's impossible," Price said. He ran. Boots slapped concrete. He reached the cell and froze. The bed was made. The pillow centered. The uniform shirt folded like a gift. The notebook lay open on the desk. On the first page, "A place remembers." On the second page, "Listen." Price looked up. The air was cool, like morning. He felt the draft again. It slid across his skin and seemed to tug him toward the back wall. He stepped inside. Tyler stood in the doorway. eyes wide. "Sir, he can't be in the vents. They're too small. He can't be under the bed. It's welded." Price crouched and checked anyway. Nothing. Then the radio hissed. Static. A voice. "Officer Price," it said, soft and steady. Noah's voice. "You're looking the wrong way." Price turned, heart pounding. There was no one behind him. He looked at the wall, at the small crack that ran from the floor to the baseboard like a thin smile. The crack breathed out a thread of cold air. By now the whole tier buzzed. Inmates stood at their doors, faces pressed to the slots. Marcus called out, "Yo, Price, you losing your man?" Jamal laughed, thin and shaky. Pastor Brooks hurried back onto the block, drawn by the commotion. "What's happening?" she asked. "Inventory check," Price said, trying to sound steady. "Everyone back." The system test continued. Cameras in A block returned. Then B block. C block lagged. On the monitors, tiny snowflakes of static danced across Noah's empty cell. Tyler tapped the screen. Come on." The lights dimmed again and came back brighter. All cell doors clanged to closed. Price lifted his radio. "Control, seal C block. Full count." He swallowed hard. "We have a missing inmate." Control responded, tight-voiced. "Copy. All gates locked. No movement logged. Every door is closed." The words felt like a trick. Closed doors. Locked gates. Missing man. They started to count. One by one, names. Faces. Hands through slots. No read. No hands. No face. No reply. Pastor Brooks asked to speak to the inmates. Price allowed it. She walked the row, voice strong but kind. "Everyone take a breath. We will get answers. No one panic." As she passed Noah's cell, she paused. She closed her eyes like she was praying. Then she opened them and stepped in. "Officer, may I?" Price nodded. She stood by the desk, touched the open notebook, and read the last line on the page. "When a place remembers, also keeps." She looked up, unsettled. Noah wrote this today. Tyler rubbed his arms. "Why is it cold in here?" Pastor Brooks spoke softly. "Because something is open that should be closed." A rumble of thunder rolled overhead. The rain sharpened. In the hall, Tyler's screen blinked and showed a tiny movement in the lower corner of Noah's cell feed. Not a person. Not a mouse. A shadow that didn't belong to anything, slipping along the floor toward the wall crack. Tyler blinked hard. The shadow was gone. He said nothing. He didn't want to sound crazy. Price ordered a sweep. Teams moved to the yard, the kitchen, laundry, chapel, infirmary, and tunnels. Dogs sniffed each hallway. Nothing. They checked every vehicle leaving the lot. Nothing. They checked the roof. Nothing. It was like Noah had taken one step out of his cell and the next step into thin air. Just after 10 p.m., Marcus asked to speak. Price sighed and nodded. Marcus leaned on his door and said low, "You won't find him if you're only looking for a man." Price stared. "What does that mean?" Marcus looked past him toward Noah's cell. "Some folks belong to a place so hard they become part of it. You ever think maybe this prison didn't like him leaving the way normal men leave?" Jamal scoffed, but his eyes flicked a crack in the wall and stayed there. At 10:12 p.m., the power hiccuped the final time. Every camera in C block flashed white, then clear. For less than a second, 3 screens showed the same impossible image. Noah Reed standing in the center of his cell, eyes up, face calm, hands at his sides. Then he was gone again, and the bed was still made, and the shirt was still folded, and the notebook still lay open to the words, "Listen." A loud bang echoed down the hall. Every head turned. It came from the far end, near the old maintenance door that hadn't been used in years. Price and Tyler ran, weapons holstered but hands ready. Pastor Brooks followed. Heart thudding. The door was chained and padlocked from their side, thick with dust. No one had touched it in a long time. What was that? The scrape behind the door echoed down the tier like nails dragged across concrete. Officer Price froze, one hand still on the icy lock, his pulse hammering in his ears. Tyler's voice cracked. "Sir, we can't open it." We can't. But curiosity was a stronger current than fear. Price leaned closer, listening. Another scrape, then silence. Suddenly, the old fluorescent lights above flickered. Every bulb hummed and blinked, then burned brighter than usual, flooding the corridor in a pale, ghostly glow. Inmates shouted from their cells, banging on the doors, calling out to the guards. "What's happening?" Marcus yelled. "You got demons in here, man." Jamal shouted back, "Shut up, shut up!" The air felt heavier, as if the whole prison was holding its breath. Then it came again. 3 knocks. Slow, hollow, from the other side of the chain door. Price backed up, gripping his flashlight, his mind racing. The lock was still sealed. The chain was still wrapped tight. But whatever was behind, that door wasn't staying quiet. Pastor Brooks stepped forward, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "Daniel, don't touch it. That door hasn't been opened in years. Do you know what's back there?" Price shook his head. "Old maintenance tunnels, maybe storage. No one goes back there." The chaplain's eyes narrowed. "Places we forget. Sometimes they don't forget us." At that moment, the radio on Tyler's belt came alive. Static hissed. Then Noah's voice cut through. Sharp this time, almost angry. "Don't open it. Don't let them out." Tyler dropped the radio like it had burned him. It clattered across the floor, still crackling. The scraping noise turned into footsteps. Slow, deliberate. They moved away from the door as if someone or something was retreating deeper into the tunnels. Price raised a finger, signaling Tyler to stay back. He bent down, ear close to the chain. Faintly, beneath the thunder outside, he could hear breathing. Not human breathing. Too deep, too rough, like air moving through a hollow chest. Suddenly, a scream ripped through the block. Not from the tunnel. From inside the prison. Inmate Jamal's voice cracked the silence. "He's in here. He's in my cell." Guards rushed forward, keys jangling, unlocking his door. Jamal stood pressed against the back wall, eyes wild. He was right here, standing over me. I swear it was him. "Noah!" He looked right at me and then gone. His hands shook so bad he dropped to his knees. The guards searched his cell top to bottom. Empty. No sign of Noah. No place to hide. Just the smell of something strange. Damn concrete, like the scent of a cave. Marcus called out again, his tone darker this time.